Good afternoon. Today we're beginning our rice experiment. It's May 28th, 2023. It's Pentecost Sunday, so we're calling it the Pentecost rice experiment. On the day of Pentecost, it had lots of things that happened, right, Randy?
Yes, we know that Moses was given the Torah, the 5 books, the Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, for the children of Israel to have a guide and for their lives for the future.
Right, and then on Pentecost Sunday, also the Holy Spirit came, and there were 120 filled with speaking in tongues. So we're going to start our experiment. As you can see, we have 4 jars. We took and cooked the rice in the same jars. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add to each jar, and it'll take a minute to do it. We're going to try to add the same amount of water to each jar, so there's water in each jar as well, because as we know, our bodies are comprised of a lot of water. So it's kind of comparing to our body, right? That we have water and the rice will be with water. It also means that the rice will not end up drying out, and if it doesn't dry out, then it won't be inclined to just be dry rice, because dry rice probably wouldn't have anything happen to it. We're going to speak to the jars. We're going to speak to them 3 times a day, because as we know, the sower sows the word, and words impact everything in the world. As you know, God spoke and there was light immediately. So our first lid that we're going to have is peace, and we'll put that up on the jar and we'll seal it in a minute. But peace, and what are we referring to as peace?
Shalom.
Shalom, right. It's
in Hebrew.
It's the peace you get when you can speak in tongues, because it edifies your body. So the first jar, which is peace, we're going to speak in tongues. We may translate our tongues when we speak to the rice as well, but we're going to speak to it in tongues and see the impact it has on that jar of rice. The second jar is love. God is love, so we're going to say loving words to it. We love you, you're beautiful, whatever. We'll go and say it to it 3 times a day. The next one, which is also something very significant in our life, or our husband's lives, our children's lives, our boss life, is if you're ignored. What happens if you're ignored? No one pays attention to you. You don't have any words specifically addressing you. You're just left there to hang out and be ignored. And the last one, the word is judgment. And we're going to talk to the rice, and because the judgment we're talking about is imperative, it's kind of a negative judgment. Would be like hate. You got caught, you're guilty. The harvest comes, because our words have harvests, our actions have harvests. So when we look in the Old Testament, when you see the word Lord spelled capital Lord, it's referring to Yahweh or Jesus, and he is the Lord of the harvest, because it says, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest. So we're going to start off doing this, and as we notice changes, we'll keep filming and filming until we finally come to a conclusion. We can see if there's a difference in the jars and what our words, how they impact us. And when we see the impact, then we will be aware of thinking, wow, we better watch the words we sow to our family, our friends, ourselves, our finances, our health, whatever. So it should be exciting. We did this on our YouTube channel. We have it. We did it, maybe 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. We already did it once, but we've kind of grown in the Lord, and so we didn't do one with speaking in tongues to the rice. So we want to see what that does. So we look forward to seeing what happens, and it may be a month before we have a final conclusion, but in between we might at the end of various segments show you how it's progressing. And we hope you have a wonderful Pentecost, that you're thankful for what Moses got. We're thankful what the Holy Spirit gave us. And we're thankful also really in a way for judgment. If you do evil things will happen to you. If you do good things will happen to you.
The world will say, what goes around comes around.
Right. Well, or it's, what you sow is what you will reap. So we're going to sow the right words all this week, and we'll check back in as soon as we have something to report.